And open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice may be recorded. All right, so I just distributed what we had in our box. These are the budgets from the schools, so we'll get to that later. So I think we should just get started with who was on set for the budget. So who we want to go first here? Was there anybody on a specific time?
No specific time, so we did have...
It's a free-for-all.
Yeah. We could go in order.
Oh, good. Mary's
they
here.
were on the schedule.
I have no issue. I think mine's probably the most complicated one. So if you want to let the other one go, so they'll sit through mine.
Sure. Start with the library first.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I am Bob Pollock. I'm the director of the library. And I think I met most of you. And I assume you know Lynette, chairman of the trustees.
Everybody knows
Trustees.
Pen here somewhere.
You want a pen? Just take it. It's all right. Here.
There was a slight revision to the library budget, I think June probably. I don't know how you communicate that, but
Right, well, I'll let you just give us a high-level summary here.
yeah, well, every year, this is my 10th year here in Berlin, and I am actually retiring in April, so just
What?
make a big announcement. I've actually told a few people, I've told the necessary parties, but we always start with the appropriation, so in order to remain certified in the system, that's for the library commissioners. They have a formula. It's an average of the last 3 years appropriation from the town plus 2.5%. So that's where we start. And then we see what we can do from there. So wages is obviously the biggest part of our library budget. And then our expenses, it's important for us also to remain certified that we spend close to 20% of our expense, of our total appropriation on materials. Obviously books, DVDs, the like, but there's a large list of things that are considered to be materials. So those are the two big things for us in terms of budget. Sorry, my throat's a little raw tonight. So we try to break it down in terms of what we're spending the money on. A lot of these categories that are in the budget have kind of, they shift. Things like CDs, or even DVDs now with streaming. So they're kind of being a little bit, becoming more irrelevant, but not entirely. So our spreadsheet that we use, to keep track of our spending, we have a lot of these represented where the money would be spent, but they're kind of always changing. And we have a platform for electronic content, started with the books. Now there's videos. Audio books are very popular, easily downloadable for people who are commuting to work or traveling or what have you. So our spending has increased on electronic material quite a bit. So we're part of a network, C.W. Morris Network, and we just each town in the network contributes, to the extent that it's all based on the population of the town. I can just keep rambling on, but if you have specific questions, I try to answer them.
So I'm assuming, like, looks like you just boosted your expenses a slight amount to make sure you maintain that 20%.
That's correct.
Okay.
So I think it was pretty close to the 2.5% that we were given.
Yeah.
So. And that 2.5%, of course, was important for us, as I mentioned, to maintain our appropriation.
And did the library have anything for capital planning?
We did, yes, I wanted to mention. So we sort of have this thing with, you know, with the highway department as our facilities, you know, manager of our building. But they have a budget for the expenses that go along with maintaining the building. But in the years since I've been here, we've asked for money for general repairs, for things that might be outside of that. So there has been discussion in the past about having that monies, you know, all in the highway department / facilities budget. And so, but we need that money to pay for, because we have to spend close to 20% of our appropriation on materials. So every dollar, you know, we spend on other things, you know, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right, so,
Yes.
So we're asking for, we do have one capital item for general repairs for $5,000. We just spent the last of our general repair articles from previous years on painting the exterior trim of the library. But there's always things that are going, have problems with the doors. The alarm system we paid for with the capital item, the fire alarm system. There are things that aren't, I don't think, you know, incorporated into highway department facilities that we need to account for. So I do have and I talked with Fred about this, the head of our highway department, and I do have an inventory, sort of a spreadsheet that keeps track of when the last time, you know, for example, we had a new roof the year I started 10 years ago. So you can see when different things that need attention were last done. So we do have that as a capital item. We have some other capital items from previous years. Well, one is we were hoping to apply for a grant from the state for our building. There's a building design and construction program. But just before COVID and of course after COVID, there was no money in this program. So there was nothing to really, there was no grant to apply for, because the phase of when the window it just, you know, changes every year. So we did just have a meeting of the trustees and I with the Mass Board of Library Commissioners building folks, and they've kind of revamped the problem, so we have to kind of revisit that. So that $50,000 that's had been set aside, you know, we may have to decide what we're going to do with that soon.
Is there a sunset clause on that? Do you know?
No, I don't believe so. We also have another outstanding one for design and planning that's very old, back to 2006. And we've continued to work with that money, to work with an architect for different conceptual designs of what we might possibly do with the library building. But now, from what we're hearing from the MDLC, those may not be feasible in terms of applying for the grant. I mean, if the town just wanted to go in and renovate the building and spend the money up front, outside of what they could, outside of what we could raise outside of that, you know, through a foundation or through the Library Friends Group or what have you, but additional funding. But yeah, so there's some decisions to be made about the building. We've been, you know, working on that. Just moving at a glacial pace, but we're trying to.
So how much was that amount, or how much is left from the 2006 article?
There's like,
I
I
definitely
think
don't
it
know.
started, it's down to like,
16,000?
I think it's down to 14,000 now.
14.
14.5.
Okay.
That, I'm not, I would have to check that to be sure.
Is it Oh, Kristen.
And you had used some of this to have some architectural plans made.
Right.
I
And
like
this
it.
kind of goes back to the original architect who designed a new library building that was proposed and voted down back in 2005. Yeah, they got a grant, the town received a grant from the state in 2003, $1 million, and they needed to provide a matching grant. The library was all designed, construction plan, everything was ready to go. It was going to be located over by the middle school, the elementary school. But that failed. I think there were 3 or 4 votes at town meeting. Failed only by 12 votes. in the end. So that was a tough one.
Around the world.
You know, people love this building. It's 95 years old. You know, it served the town all those years, and you know, but sometimes it's just time for to you know, the MBLC is the first phase of their program is to look at what the citizens of the town, you know, you form all these groups and, you know, you do the surveys and you try to get to the information about what the town would like to see in the public library. And then you see if there's adequate space in the current building, or will a renovation address the question, or do you need a new library? You know, we have a lot of issues with where we're located because of the water issues. I could go on.
Yeah. So the 5,000 that you've requested,
Yes.
so it's just kind of general, you kind of
Yes.
have a general open of just be using it for.
Right. So at the end of this summer, we had a issue with not bees, what do you call it? Yellow jackets. And they were, you know, so they're infestating. And so we may need to, I mean, the highway department did try to make some efforts to get them. But if they come back in the spring, we're definitely going to need to address it because there were a lot of bees, a lot of yellow jackets. So just items like that. You could call a professional insect person, and then we can get the gap where they're getting in sealed up. And I think the highway department could handle that part of it. So it's kind of a joint effort between facilities and hiring people when we need to, you know, special vendors who can do the job, you know, and they're professionals what they do and everything.
Scott?
Yeah.
On the 5K, we did speak about this a little bit at Capital. Because it doesn't meet the definition of a capital request, has to be over 10,000 for a one item. It would most likely either need to fall under public buildings, and that would be my recommendation, or it would be a standalone article, like a special article as opposed to a capital article.
Okay. All right, you mentioned you've got some door issues and just, what, I mean, anything specific other that you know you'd be targeting for right now, or just?
Well, things that I mentioned in my capital request were
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see the
just
capital
things that we
request.
have used capital monies for in the past, like the new windows that we have, the fire alarm system, the doors. The door downstairs cost $4,000. Air conditioners. So if we built this into our, you know, our line item budget and, you know, our appropriation, we would have to spend 20% of all of that monies
Right.
on materials. So that's why we're either looking for facilities to take over the building and do all of the repairs, you know, whether they do it themselves or vendors, or we're going to have the money to just keep the building operating, you know, the way it should be.
Do we have access to the capital plan? Because I don't see it in the folder. I just see the budget requests and,
I can get you access to the capital plan, sure.
yeah,
I have
or at
mine.
least.
If you want to. This is
Sure.
what I sent you.
Thanks. We'll Just, yeah, it's open-ended. Okay, I don't have any more questions myself. Anybody else? Anything?
No.
And anything else more you want to comment on, or?
Lynette? Sorry,
Okay.
I shot my mouth off. I just.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. And I'm sorry to hear you're retiring, but enjoy your
you.
retirement.
Thank you for your service, sir.
I'm looking forward to it.
Bob, do you want this copy back?
Bob, do you need that back?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you. All right, good evening.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you all do have access to the capital folder. I'll send out the link.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Sorry about that, I just,
All right,
in my
you're
Google
up,
Docs,
you're up
and I can't
next.
find the,
All right, so the ACO one will go first, I'll be quick.
but now,
So the ACO one is pretty cut forward, 2.5%, total $187 increase in the budget between expenses and payroll, right? Or $141 on payroll and 187 on expenses.
Sorry, Chief, which one are we doing?
Can you give us the
ACO?
numbers, please? Because,
Yeah.
292.
Yeah, 292.
219?
292.
292.
292.
It's just a clear basic 2.5% on salary and expense.
Should know this. What's ACO?
Animal control
Oh,
officer.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Who knew?
Way back when dog office.
Hmm?
Way back when dog office.
I know, right? It's not politically correct anymore. I'm supposed to call it the dog officer. Then they would be limited to just addressing dog issues. Alrighty.
So it looks like animal
Yeah.
control is under control.
Yes.
Ah, good.
Alan's doing a great job. We're keeping a tight rein on the
I
budget.
want to make sure I have the same one.
All right.
there.
Ready to move on to the next one?
All right, so next one will be 296, will be
You
communications.
just told me 296. Forget it now.
Oh, and they're right together, that's
296.
How
helpful.
about that?
Thank you,
huh?
yeah.
Why is it received 222? Why are we behind 2 years there? I don't understand that.
Look, that was only a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, December 21st. I'm thinking it was, got it, sorry.
Sorry,
That's
for making sure we're on the right pages with you.
My stamp looks like 2020, not 2022, because it didn't, and I'm like, why are we, and then she goes,
Oh.
no, 22. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
All right, so for communications, the admin assistant for the public safety is under there as well. That's a 2.5% increase in her pay, so that's $1,003. I broke down the telephone, radio maintenance, and unsolved code red. The previous budgets just had them all lumped together at $216,901. But Neshoba went up 7.84% in their fee. Kristen has sat in on, she's on the admin committee, I'm the operations committee. But basically, this is where we sit projected for 2024 for our portion for the regional dispatch center. And from what I'm told, our telephone lines aren't going to change, radio maintenance, and the radio maintenance is new to this. This is a contract where we want to have with the radio company, so that they will actually inspect our radios yearly. Actually, I think it's not even yearly, it's is it quarterly, Kristen? Quarterly, they'll come out once a quarter and and do a test on our radios?
Yeah, it's for the antenna
Yeah,
maintenance
yeah, the
agreement,
antenna-
so
yeah, the antenna
they'll,
maintenance agreement.
they'll do any repairs, make sure that everything is working, do testing to the system. I thought it was on an annual basis, but I'll have to check.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more than, I think it's
Is it
released twice a year.
Semi-annual, maybe?
Yeah, I think
Yep.
it's released twice a year. So we're getting new antennas installed, hoping, we still don't have a build date or a delivery date. So we're hoping by April, so by July 1st, they should be installed and up and running. And this is one of the most important parts of our radio system. That's what's in failure right now. And nobody knew because we never checked their antennas over the years because they're 147 feet up in the air, so.
Where are they?
Yeah, where are they?
There are two cell sites, Taylor Road and Coburn Road right now. They're at the top of each one of them.
So this is just adding on that contract now that we got the new antennas, or
Yeah.
will have the new
We'll have
antennas.
the new antennas.
Okay.
So like, they can detect problems at an early stage.
Is that the rope again?
And preventative maintenance.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
That's the name of
Get
it.
it,
I'm thinking of where the hills are.
Right.
Regarding with the dispatch, was there a town that left, or did they
Yeah,
got
so,
replacement? What was
yeah,
this?
Yeah, one town left, and I believe E911 picked up the finances for that town. So that this is purely reflecting on, I believe, their pay, what E911 will give them, and the contract they have with the dispatchers.
I think the state's.
So what was the reason for the town leaving? I'm just curious.
They went with Pepperell because they worked with Pepperell closer.
I think this is the last year that they're gonna cover the contract,
Yeah.
the other town, so next
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
the year after, we may see.
Who was it? Was it Townsend?
Townsend, yeah. Townsend went with Pepperell.
Has anybody done a cost analysis as to, has it saved us any money by going to this?
Last year, when you asked.
What was it? I don't remember.
It actually,
My
I
best
don't
guess,
remember.
probably 50%.
We saved 50%?
You can kind
I
of
don't
get
remember.
a good estimate. I mean, one of the things I know June gave a big caveat is, which is not reflected there, are benefits. That we were paying when we had employees. But if you go to the page 5 under communications and look at past years' expenditures, I mean, it goes way back to 2015. Just the last years of when we were paying them, and you can kind of get a good estimate of what we were paying and what we're now. And it's quite clear that, at least to me, that we'd be paying a lot more if we still had them in-house.
So you have to also remember, in the last 7 years, 8 years, the qualifications to be a dispatcher, the training that's mandated, is same as a police officer. I think each dispatcher gets over 40 hours of training per year, so we didn't have that. That was never budgeted here. So there's a lot. That. I mean, my best guess, if we had it in-house, would be around 400,000.
I was just curious.
I can see if I can find it, and I'll resend it over to you, Janet. The analysis that we did.
Yeah, just remember, we used to run one dispatcher. There's no dispatch center that runs one dispatcher anymore.
Yeah, it definitely seems a regionalization that was definitely very beneficial.
There was a lot more grants too available with the
Yeah.
regionalization versus if we had to do it here, all the equipment we would have to pay for
Pay for it
ourselves.
out of pocket, even 911 equipment.
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody else have any other questions on
No,
communications?
I'm looking at that page 5, which is helpful. I see that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously you just mentioned other things that you wouldn't get reflected there, and one of the things, like say, you don't know what we were paying for benefits that are all lumped now into the assessment we get now.
Yeah, whatever that number was, I'd double it today because we'd have to have 2 people on the desk.
Right.
And at that time also, we didn't have somebody that was, I mean, they were covering, right, the, like the admin position.
Yeah.
Because that kind of,
Admin position.
because when we got rid of the communications, there was no, was there an admin position added at that
About
point, or
6 months
kept?
later.
That came in later, right?
About 6 months afterwards.
All right, we ready to move on to the
Yeah.
police
Right,
budget?
So 210. So as you know, the contract was signed, and remarkably, we came in under the 2.5% from what we budgeted this year.
Yeah.
June reminded me that this year we did budget 3%, so, which left us in a good place for the upcoming year. The only spikes that I have is contracted services. Previous years, there was budgeted $2,000 for a company called Lexipol that runs our policy and procedures books and manuals. I got that bill this past fall, which was paid before I took over last year. I just got the bill. It's actually almost $4,100. It's not 2,000. It was only budgeted for 2,000. So that's you'll see the increase in expenses is the major part of my budget, and that was actually one of them. That was like $2,100. For fuel, I did go in, I think at $3.25 for fuel per gallon. It's been fluctuating over the month of December, so to do this budget was pretty hard because 25 cents per gallon equals a lot of money for us. We use about 7,500 gallons a year. So fuel did jump up. I'm hoping it comes down, but you know, that's definitely a concern of ours.
Do you recall what you budgeted last year?
Last year was 22.5. This year is 27.5. But we budget, I think, at 2.80 a gallon.
280 gallon, that's what I meant, okay.
Yeah. I'm hoping with the hybrids that we don't crest at 27,000. That's my big hope. You know, our uniforms went up contractually. Our uniforms went up a little bit. You know, I left the office supplies at the same. It's pretty hard to go back and forth on that. One of my biggest expenses that I had to go up on was ammunition. I forgot to bring the sheet up with me. I think you have it for my expense sheet. Ammunition went from 6,500, I think, is 10,000. That's because the state now mandates that we shoot twice a year, where it used to only be once a year. And fortunately, instead of the budget doubling, the rounds came down, the ammunition price came down. So we're able to cap that at 10,000. And our third training is with the Milo system, which is basically a interactive arcade game. Last year we paid $2,000 for our replica guns to go with that system. The town of Hudson has it. They let us in there. So that training goes on during the winter. So we save, obviously, that $2,000 just in ammunition, because that's actually counted as training as well. So, but, you know, other than that, I mean, like I said, I think I'm pretty well within the 2.5% of the total budget. You know, I know the expense budget's definitely more than 2.5%. On the salaries, we're able to reel it back in. You know, yeah, one other thing I added this year too was active shooter training for part-time and full-time. Our department has yet to, we've had a couple 4-hour sessions of training. I caught wind during budget season. The state is going to come out with a CMR that requires us all to be trained across the Commonwealth, and that's 16 hours each. So that's also included in within the 2.5%. Within 2.5% of the budget.
That's 16 hours, too.
Yeah, 16 hours per officer, yeah.
So it's not passed yet, but you're being preemptive. Then.
Yeah, it has to happen, and when we have to do it, it's you know, whether or not the legislature gets together and actually enacts it, I mean, it's something absolutely between hosting two shopping plazas in the school,
right.
Is something we absolutely need. You know, when we get our training, we don't have to pay for the instructors. They come from SEMLEC, which we're a member of, Central Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council. So they provide the trainers. So the only thing we have to provide is pay for the officers. And from what I was told in December at the meeting, the state is putting out grants, so hopefully someone will get the grant and also bring the equipment with them. So there's no equipment purchases either. So they're doing it half right. They're mandating, they're paying for half of it. so,
Typical, right?
Yeah.
So that pay is basically you're just backfilling, right? I mean, you're having to pay officers to cover
Yeah, I
while
mean,
you're,
there's,
while
there's,
that
there's actually no
others are-
backfill, because everybody's going to the training.
Oh.
It's everybody going to training, when they're, you know, we have to host it on a couple occasions, and
Okay.
everybody's gonna have to go when they're not on duty. So, it's not something we can, it's not like a CPR.
Oh, so it's actually pay that's over, it's
Over
actually
and
over and
above.
above because
Yeah.
it's, I
Yeah,
get you.
over and above. Yeah. But, yeah, in-service training is covered in there as well, mostly by part-timers, which leads to my other request to actually add another officer to the department. As you know, with police reform, our standards are much higher now. We don't have the availability of part-timers like we used to. Like when I started off as a part-time police officer and worked my way up. There's no more part-time academies anymore in Massachusetts. I think my best guess is after 2027, part-time police will be a thing of the past in the state. Everybody has to be full-time academy trained out on the roads. So my plan is to actually start adding to our department, specifically on the day shift. We're still running with the same staff on day shift as when I started in 1996. So there has not been any increase in our daytime staff coverage since 1996. And part of my contract is to get the department accredited through the state, and with that I need to take somebody off the road. Most departments take 2 people off the road. It doesn't matter if you're a department of 3 or a department of 30. It's the same requirements, the same paperwork that goes behind it. I have 2.5 years left to get that done per my contract. First year you go for certification, and the second year you go for accreditation. So I put in that request, I believe it was what, right around 33,000, a little under 33,000 for a half a year next year. Even if this got approved at May town meeting, by the time we post the job, preferably hire somebody full-time academy trained, not send somebody to the academy, and get them actually working in the department would at best be by next January.
So what is that? I'm sorry, what does that mean when you said pull them off the road? For
Yeah, well,
certificate?
that will allow one of the, I can grab one of the sergeants to start working on accreditation with me.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, it would actually backfill the shift so somebody's still working and we're still at staff.
Okay.
You know, which also leads to the next request I had was $8,500 to put on a 3rd sergeant.
Those are on the supplemental pages, right?
Yeah, supplemental, yeah. Yeah, those are all on supplemental pages.
Which I'm looking for.
What page is that, Eric? If you
Yeah,
don't
I'm looking
mind.
for where the supplemental stuff is.
Piano?
It
9.
starts around,
9.
yeah, page 9.
They're sideways.
Is this still in the 210 police or is it somewhere else?
It's 210, please, page 9.
Yeah, I'm on
It's like
210.
23
I got it. I
pages,
just
so-
didn't know what page. I was
Yeah,
trying
I was
to,
gonna say, how do
page
you know
9.
which page we're on? You have to count them?
Well,
There's a
if you bring it up in
counter at the
PDF,
bottom.
it'll show you in the top left, but yeah, I don't know if there's page numbers.
Yeah, right here.
It doesn't
See
seem,
page
yeah,
1 of
I see it
23.
there, it doesn't seem to want to do it on the
1 of
mobile
23,
version.
right?
If you're on your phone, who
Yeah.
knows what you'll see
Oh, there
there.
it is, yep, 5 of 23, if you hold it, yep, 6 of 23. Okay, so you said we're on page 9?
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned, I mean, the day shift. What do you refer to as a day shift? Is that
It'd
like,
be 7 to 3. 7 a.m.
okay, so you're looking, so before it's always been 2,
2 officers
and
and a
plus-
chief, yeah.
and you're looking to move that to 3?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it was
Okay.
in 96 when I started. 2 officers and a chief on a day shift. And of course, you know, over the years as we grew, we doubled up the evening shift and doubled up the midnight shift. You know, obviously, and then we now need to come back and start at the bottom again, you know, to increase staff.
All the shifts are 2.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
budgeted for 2 officers per shift.
Okay.
Yeah, that came about when we went, actually regional dispatch was the was the final push to get 2 officers on per shift. So it was what, 2016?
Ish.
Yeah, 2017, yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, so we've gone almost, 5, 6 years without adding any staff. With adding the staff too, on the flip side, there's not gonna be no backfill into the shift. Vacation, whatever, if there's 3 on and they take a vacation day, then there's 2 on. If they're out sick, if one of the 3 is out sick, there'll be 2 on. I'm not looking to backfill the shifts for that person. I think it'll also reduce our part-time budget as well, because right now if somebody calls in sick on the day shift or is out on vacation or personally, we backfill the shift. So that's also, I think, gonna start dropping our part-time budget as well.
So you're looking at, there's supplemental requests, is really looking at adding just 1 on the head count overall,
Yeah.
full-time,
Yeah.
and then just there's 2 sergeant positions today?
There's 2 right now.
Okay, and you're looking to add a third?
Yeah,
or-
I like to put a third, because obviously one's gonna be coming basically off the road for a good 1.5 or 2 years to do this accreditation with me.
And that person, when you say the accreditation, they'd be looking to, well, it would take like half their time on the week, you're thinking?
Yeah, so right now, I talked to some neighboring towns. Some have taken a lieutenant and a sergeant completely off the road. Some smaller departments, the chiefs, have taken a sergeant off at least 16 hours in their 4-day cycle to work with them. So, basically that's what I'm gonna be looking to do, is say, I'm not passing this off to anybody. They're gonna work with me to get it done. They're also a union member, so they can also, as we go with the flow, they can also present it back to the union as well for any impact bargaining.
And is it just mostly just paperwork, or what's the thing with that?
110% paperwork. 110% paperwork, filing. Basically, they're gonna come in, they're gonna audit the station, and they're gonna say, we wanna see this, we wanna see that, and you have to, within seconds, pull everything out. Policies have to be, cross your Ts, dot your Is, has to be approved by the state. So we're actually working with neighboring departments, so we try to have the same policy and procedure, so it doesn't matter if another town comes here, or we go to another town where we have the same policy and procedures, which is only makes sense. Police departments, we should all be following the same use of force policies, pursuit policies. That way we don't have anybody coming through town at 110 miles an hour chasing after somebody for an inspection sticker.
But the full-time position that you have is for this coming fiscal year, you
Yeah.
only have as half the year, correct?
Yeah, it'd be a half a
And that-
year, but yeah, realistically, I wouldn't be able to advertise until July 1st. By the time we advertised it, by the time we did our assessments, background checks, it's usually a 4 to 6 month process to hire one person that's already academy trained.
But that number is in your budget already for labor, that's in your part-time wage, your full-time wages
No.
budget already, or not?
No,
Because
it's
this
additional.
is supplemental.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the supplemental. That and the sergeant's position is
Okay.
supplemental.
Gotcha.
That's why my budget looks so good.
I was just gonna say, that's a clever way of making your budget look good.
Yeah,
Pull those
that's
things
why
out.
that's why the budget came in very good. I originally put it in, but then I was asked to take it out only because we need to see the real numbers of what we're going up from last year, which actually makes sense.
But wouldn't we be hiring a real person?
Yeah.
You say the real numbers? This
True.
isn't a fake person, is it?
No. No, be a
Not
legit.
yet.
Be a legit person.
Yeah, but I think, we talked about that, and I think it makes sense to look at that year on year, sort of in your steady state, but then,
Yeah.
you need to climb that step, and that's the supplement.
Yeah.
Do you climb it this year, do you climb it? You have to climb it sometime, it's gonna be this year, next year, and it makes it, I think, more orderly for us to look at it, because then
Yeah.
it's really,
Yeah, we're in a predicament where I never thought I'd ever say this or even see it coming. As somebody who started off as a part-time officer, I think part-time officers will be eliminated almost completely by 2027. So, and I think that as we look at it, we got to start transition the part-time budget into full-time salaries.
Mhm.
you know, trying to work a transition in. Because for every full-timer we hire from now on, the part-time budget should be able to come down a notch, because we're not backfilling.
When you say that phase out, are you talking about existing part-time officers? Is that gonna phase
Well,
out?
through attrition, we'll lose our part-time officer force, through attrition, through over the years. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get 100%, but we're not gonna have the 8 that we have now.
Okay.
We might have 2, we might have 3. You know, there may be more restrictions on when they can work and what they can actually do.
I was gonna say, does your accreditation affect your ability to have part-timers?
No, the accreditation, you know, as long as you have your set policy and procedures,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
more for that.
for everybody, then you're all set. Yeah. But we are, there's maybe only 2 other communities in the area that still have part-time officers. I mean, when I started, almost every community other than like Clinton and Marlboro had part-time officers, but it's solely the demands. I mean, to have somebody has to get 8 hours of training in order to set foot on the road. And on top of that, now they need 56 hours a year training. You know, so they basically take 56 hours a year of vacation time, because before part-time training would be every evening. Now all classes are in Randolph, Southbridge, Springfield, Linfield, like Monday through Friday, business hours. There's no more nighttime stuff for us. There's no more accommodations now. So.
Would there be an impact on like benefits and stuff like that?
You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't taken town benefits in 18 years, so you know, I'm an anomaly. But I mean, just don't know. Don't know their family dynamics.
But as part-timers, they don't have access to
Part-timers don't have any benefits. I mean, the
Okay.
only benefit they have, they pay what, 69 cents a week for life
Nope,
insurance.
they get nothing.
Oh, they get nothing. Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah,
Part-time.
yeah, part-timers don't get any benefits.
Do you know what this incentive means?
So it must be, regardless of like the most obvious one being like health insurance, they would have, I mean, other ones that we probably automatically calculate, like sick time and stuff like that, that they full-time automatically gets.
Part-timers, they have none of that.
Part-timers know that, but if they went full-time, they would have.
Yeah, if they go full-time, they can.
So certain levels of those we'd be able to calculate of
Yeah.
what that increase would be.
Yeah.
What does incentive mean?
Which one, the budget incentive?
Yeah.
Educational incentive. So we have 2 incentives. We have the Quinn bill, which is grandfathered for officers before 2009, and now, which was 10% associates, 20% bachelors, 25% masters, which half used to come from the state, but they stopped that. But the town still carried it on for us at the time. But then after that, we got new hired officers are now on a straight stipend to help actually attract college-educated people to apply here and work here. So now it's $2,500 for associates, $6,250 for bachelors, and $10,000 for a no.
No, 10,000 is for the bachelor's.
Yeah, 10,000 for the
Actually,
bachelors.
it's
Yeah,
12
yeah, and it's 12 for the masters.
for,
Yeah.
it's brand new.
Yeah,
That was
it
unfair.
just got done. I mean, it's
Still
It's
cheaper
in-
than the Quinn bill.
I see
Well, it's-
6250, I
it's-
see 10, and then I see 15 and 17.
all right. So you have 17 is a Quinn bill at 20%. 15 is Quinn bill at 20%. 10,000 is bachelor's
Bachelor's
degree,
and then associate.
and then the the 6250 is actually a bachelor's, but at step 3, not
It's
step
different
4.
steps.
It's all incremental. So the longer they stay with us for 3 years, then we start paying them the full incentive. So that's why they're tiered down.
So there's only,
Eventually, in a couple of years, those 6250s will be 10s.
so there's only 2 people left on the original Quinn bill that the town's
Correct.
picking up
Yep.
the state's share that they stopped
Correct.
paying.
Correct, and obviously I moved up, so I was at 25%. So that was 20%, I was at 25%. So I would have been like around 118. If I was still there, I would have been around 118.
So we could like guesstimate a salary somewhere between
The bottom one.
68,000 and 115, right?
Yeah.
depending on, I was just trying to get an
Yeah, you
estimate
should
of what,
remember your
what we
first-
have to add in for
Yeah.
your new hire that you're looking at, because
Yeah.
it's not in here, so I was just trying to get an
Yeah.
idea. That's
Yeah.
why I was asking.
Yeah, yeah, so the new hire would be identical to the bottom one. Pretty much identical to the bottom one, except for obviously, I didn't have to worry about holiday pay and any incentive pay.
So 70,000 about.
Yeah, it's at 62, 460, 80, you know, it was actually the basic.
Oh, I see, we're
because-
looking right at the,
Yeah.
yep, salary,
Because, you
okay.
know, you turn around, you take, say you take the 1, 2, 3, you say the fourth one down, decides to go straight day shift, then you go over to shift differential, there's a
Right.
savings of 32.48, because they don't get that, there's no differential pay on day shift, and that's what I'm looking to do, is add a person on a day shift.
Okay.
And you said that incentive is every year, right? That doesn't.
Yeah, the
it's not a
incentives
one-time
every
thing.
year, yeah, we divide it amongst the 52 weeks and pay them weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, believe me, this is the fourth time that I did it. I never get it right on the first.
All right, before going to capital, anybody else have other questions? All right, let's move to the capital piece.
All right, so the capital, let's see. I did bring tri-band radios to the capital, but I was quickly reminded that's under the $10,000 mark. So it really belonged here. This is to outfit our last 2 cars with tri-band radios, which allows us to communicate with every town around us. We've been doing it through cruiser replacements, but as you know, it takes us, 6 years to cycle through our cars, and it's something that it's needed pretty much now. So I chose to stay with what Chief Galvin purchased, which were the Kenwood radios. So you see the 2 radios would be $71.43. If I went with one Motorola, it would be $9,000.
Can you, which number is that,
The capital request?
yeah,
It's, I don't know which order it's in.
Yeah.
Is this page 11 or?
page 11, page 12 in the,
Yeah, page 11, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. What
Right,
is this
you
one?
can tell me what it is, I'll go right to that one.
MDT replacement?
MDT replacement, capital improvement request form,
I can't find it in my thing, that's why I'm asking.
These are
Alright,
the,
so if you want to go MDT replacement, I'll go.
MDT.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the
Get back into the file
MDTs,
you have.
so those are the mobile data terminals that we have in our cruisers.
Okay.
All right, so basically there are tablets now. I can't even say there are laptops anymore because they're tablets. They're all tablet-based. We have 2 that are 2013-14 era tablets or computers. They're probably 1 software upgrade away from being obsolete. So that's why I'm looking to upgrade those 2 tablets. And then from there, I'll start FY '26 and '27, replacing 1 a year to keep them upgraded.
So it's 13.5 for this year.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm hoping it stays in that 13.5. I mean, as we know, the price of stuff is, it just fluctuates so much.
Daily.
So, but I'm hoping it stays within that
And that when you
ballpark.
order them, you can get them.
That's the other issue too. If I had the ability to have the money today, I could have them today. I think it was 12/7. I can get them today for 12/7, but they're the old models. They're ordering in the new models. Yeah, so like I said, there was never, we purchased all these computers and equipment, and we never put them on a program to upgrade them. So that's why it's going two for 24, And starting in '26, we'll replace one a year
Mhm.
after that.
You mentioned you had 3 that were updated already. Were those something you had done with each car purchase, or
Yeah, car purchases.
they were
yeah.
kind of lumped in with
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah. But now with cars going up in price so much that it's just sticker shock to start adding MDTs to cars.
Mhm.
You know, to go ask for a $65,000 cruiser that's gonna be worth $5,000  5 years from now is, and not be able to swap over the equipment because they changed the body style, you know, is sticker shock for me.
Hmm.
But the NBTs are one thing that doesn't matter how the cruisers change, can go from car to car to car.
All right.
What's the next one on the list?
Let's see.
Something
No.
with wheels.
Chief's car replacement, I'm looking at.
Yes.
All right, so there should be 2 of them in there, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Let's-
Yeah.
I want a summer car and I want a winter car. No, I'm just
Yeah, is
kidding.
that what it is?
That's what it is. So what I did was I put through 2 prices on cars. One vehicle, I can swap over the equipment in the truck into the vehicle, and it's significantly cheaper. It's $45,000 versus $49,000. The other vehicle, same price to purchase, but because the lights in the truck are on a full-size chassis, won't fit into a smaller SUV, so therefore I have to buy new lights to go into a smaller SUV.
Do you have a preference? I'm just curious. If you have a preference as to which one you.
My preference is to save money and reuse, recycle.
Mhm.
But, you know, obviously, you know, when you tell people you want to get a Tahoe, they think like, oh my God, that's like an $80,000 vehicle. No, we can actually buy them for $39,800. And they're LS models, they call them SSVs. And the Ford just went up $4,100 from what they know. There's no state bid out yet. From what they're guessing, they went up $4,100 just on the hybrid cruisers. So now the hybrid Ford Explorer is now cost more than a Chevy Tahoe for an initial purchase price. I did an analysis for what's that group, Energy Committee last night,
Mm-hmm.
and over the course of, it would take 6.89 years to bridge the gap for that $4,000 in fuel costs. And at that end, the residual value, the Tahoe would be worth $10,000 more than the Explorer. You know, could I keep this vehicle for 6.89 years? Absolutely. My carbon footprint is 2.8 miles each way to work. I think I've put 4,000 miles on the truck since last May. You know, so I'm not looking to get a commuter vehicle and run, you know, 25,000 miles a year. It's not going to idle like a cruiser. So, you know, I understand the green aspect, but I also, you know, have a responsibility for finances and you know, what makes the most financial sense. And just seeing the residual values versus, you know, the fuel takes 6.89 years to match up the fuel. That's based on statistics, not stickers off the vehicles. The stickers off the vehicles say the hybrid gets 24 miles a gallon, the Tahoe gets 17. You go on like Fuelie.com or a government site to test these, it's really 17.9 miles per gallon in the hybrid and 12.7 miles in the Tahoe. You know, so you really can't go off the sticker price, you know, off what they say. That's perfect ideal conditions, no snow, no anything like flat surface.
No tromping on the accelerator.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, so, you know, I know it was not a contentious issue last night, but I am obviously a green person. I got a solar system on my house that, you know, cost me an arm and a leg, you know. But I do believe in being green. But I also believe in being financially responsible. So that's why I put the 2 cars forward, because I didn't, you know, this car for almost $50,000 basically is just a car. This is not carpet, this is rubber floors, This is vinyl bench seats in the back, you know, just, it's not what people think, oh, well, you know, get a nice Explorer. If I want the administrative package, I'd be looking at 57 or 61,000 for the same car, just purchase price off the lot. Where, like I said, you know, Chevy still comes in and gives you, I mean, if you look at Chief Clark's car, it's a beautiful car, and it's under 40,000.
I got to sit in it.
Yeah.
Check it out
you
at
know?
the open
Yeah.
house. I did. That was the benefit of going to.
Yeah.
So Eric, what did you use for? How'd you figure what the fuel price? You know, what kind of? You do some kind of ballpark to do that equation to look at the two
Yeah, so,
vehicles.
you know, I just did a whole thing, like, you know, just, you know, based on, you know, I think 70,000 miles, operating 70,000 miles over the course of 6.89 years, and,
Oh, so,
you know.
sorry, just a simpler question about the price of a gallon of gas.
yeah.
What'd you use for your?
I used $3.25 per gallon gas.
Okay.
And I think, I didn't bring the sheet up with me, I think the hybrid would use 437 gallons, and the Tahoe, based on my driving, would use 648 or something like that.
Okay.
So the price difference of that, it takes 6.89 years on my drive. That actually, I projected 8,000 miles a year, but like I said, I've had a vehicle 9 months now, and I just crested 4,000 miles. And I will tell you, that vehicle did go to New Jersey for training for the SWAT guy and back. That was not me. So realistically, you know, my mileage is down. I mean, I go to my meetings and come back, and,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, you know, hybrids are fantastic. We save with the hybrids on idle time. And the officers are sitting on the side of the road.
Got it.
The
Yep.
cars aren't running, they're running off the battery. Once the battery drops down, the car starts up for 2 minutes, charges up the battery, then it goes back down. It's heat and air conditioning. So, but yeah, so that's why I brought 2 cars forward. You know, I understand the green aspect, but I also understand the financial aspect.
Where were we, I know the delays in getting the other cars. Did you finally,
So still a delay. I have one secured. Now it's getting a build date. So our 2022 I ordered last May was canceled in October.
so
by
fiscal
4.
year 22, this was been 21 town meeting that was approved, so you could have started purchasing
No, it
July
was 22 town
1st.
meeting. Oh, we got the 21 last April.
This past
Yeah.
April?
Yeah, past April. It was ordered the May before. We got it the past April. I ordered one last May. The day after the town meeting, I ordered one, and it got canceled. Ford canceled it this past October. They canceled 20,000 orders. 300 cruisers just for Massachusetts, hybrids. And so then I was at a training seminar in Norwood, and another company was there, and I said, look, I need a car, what do you have? And he says, I might have a silver one. And I says, a hybrid, yes. It was $1,000 more than what I had budgeted for, but I just cut out some equipment. And I said, yes, I'll take it. Like, I was like begging and pleading, because the new price, Ford usually honors the price for 22 and 23, but they're not honoring any of the prices. All the cars are going up minimum $4,100 from 22 to 23. So I was able to still save 3,000, you know, and like I said, we'll just knock off something out of the package.
Okay, so so way back in 21, so you took 11 months to
11
fill
months
that
for the first
one.
one, it looks like.
And this one,
it's
you're-
gonna be probably 10 months. 10 months for the first one. You know, I mean, that's why, like, you know, when you look at the vehicles under the green communities that we can buy, it's great, but when are they available? Some are 2 years out, some are 3 years out. You know, my issue is, we have a 2016 Cruiser that is assigned to one officer right now, and I know that he absolutely babies it, cleans the thing. You couldn't tell the difference if it was a 2016 or a 22 sitting inside of it. It's so immaculate. But the bottom line is, like, if it breaks, it's thousands of dollars. You know, we just did a brake job on one of the cars. It was $950 for a brake job. You know, like, I remember taking the Crown Vics to Ben's Gulf, and it was $250 for all 4. You know, now it's $950 for a brake job on one of these cars. So, like, you know, my thing is, like, we can't wait, you know, 11 months. I mean, this is like unorthodox. I mean, I remember it used to, like, right after the Maytown meeting, depending on who the chiefs would be like, all right, we got our meeting, we got our money. I'd run right down to MHQ, I'd order a car. Usually the second week of June, it'd be sitting in our parking lot.
Hmm.
You know, we couldn't drive till July 1st, but by the second week of June, it was sitting in our parking lot. Now it's not like that. So, it's like I said, I mean, we're beg, borrowing, stealing on cars. So, the dealer that we initially went through ordered 100 Ford Lightnings, and they got 4 from Ford.
So, I mean, when you're forced into this for the last 2 because of, do you have some idea of like, could you have gone an extra year cycle, or was it really pushing it?
No, what we do is, I'm not gonna call it a spare car, but, we have 9 full-time officers, and we have 5 patrol cars. So there's 2 officers assigned to a patrol car. That's like their babies. They take care of them. They gotta watch the oil, tires, maintenance on the car, whatever. Like, they're responsible for the cars. So we always have a car with only 1 officer assigned to it. So then what we do is we take the oldest car in the fleet and we give it to one of the most meticulous people we have, and they just baby it. Actually we have quite a few of them, very meticulous actually, but they'll baby that car, they'll limp it through. So it's only getting half the mileage and dropping down, and and they're cognizant. The people are very cognizant when they're going to calls that this is not something you're going to go 80 miles an hour in or chase after anybody in. So.
But you didn't have any real big maintenance issues of those, at least
Not
those
yet,
2
not yet.
examples.
Just did like a $200-something repair to the oldest car, but if it was still in line, we'd probably be into it for $8,000. But like I said, we try to strategically place cars to where they're going to be taken care of and respected very well.
Well, I'm not on capital, but I know that we generally tend to do a car a year.
Yeah.
Well, if you're saying, I mean, if you're only putting 8,000 miles on it, it doesn't feel like there's the need for a new car that soon.
I don't know. You talking about me?
Yeah.
The only thing, the issue with I drive the truck now, and it's at the point where it could last 2 more years,
Mm-hmm.
or I could be into it for thousands of dollars next year. Because remember,
But how many miles are on it now?
83,000. But remember, 78,000 were patrol hours,
Okay.
patrol mileage. So times that by 3, that's really what the truck has on it. You're for hours and wear and tear.
Hmm.
So that's usually what we say. If one of our cruisers has 80,000 miles on it, it'd be equivalent to a homeowner having 240,000 on theirs.
Okay.
Yeah. But remember, the Stevens Family Foundation just bought us a vehicle too. So this was actually the year we're supposed to buy 2. Because we have 6 cars in the fleet and we're supposed to replace them every 4 years. And we don't, but the Stevens family is replacing one of the cars for us. So it's not, this would have been the year I'd have to ask for 2 cars. Yeah, but they provided, they gave us $65,000 to buy a new upfitted vehicle. Yeah, like I said, on capital, we're supposed to be every 4 years we replace the cars. My car is on its seventh year in service. So I take the residual value. Colonial offered me $13,000 for it, whether I do it today or if I do it in late June, early July. They said it would be $13,000. I think we can get probably 16 on municipal bid. So whatever the price of the car I get, I'd probably take off at least $13,000, if not more, for what that vehicle would be worth.
All right, anything more on the cars before moving to the last item? I think it's the last item, right? The what you were started with,
I think it was
well, the
that was
radios?
more expensive car, I think, and that was the last. Wasn't it just the small platform, large platform?
Yeah.
Was the only thing left under police.
Security camera?
Was that,
Well,
well, did we skip over a couple?
Well, you
I
had
think we skipped over
the
the first 2.
the 2. This is where you had started on. This one was the 7100 for the new radios.
Tri-band
Yeah,
radio.
yeah.
The
Tri-band.
tri-band radios.
NBT,
Yeah, we started with
NBT
NBT.
and car. That should be it, right? Because they,
Yes.
the public safety security cameras, we already transferred the money a month ago over to get that taken care of. We're just not gonna wait till next year.
Oh, okay. So, and then what's the tri-band?
That was the first
Radios?
thing.
Yeah, that's what he had started on, and
MD.
we kind of interrupted him on that one
All
because
right.
we were in
Oh,
a
okay,
different
So the
order.
tri-band radios, there's 2 radios for just under $7,200. Opted to go with the Kenwoods versus Motorola's. Motorola's
Okay.
are $9,000 each. So I'd be here with an $18,000 request if I went Motorola. Kenwoods we have in a couple of cars right now and have proven to be phenomenal.
Hmm.
So to me, yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
make sense to put a $9,000 radio in a car when our $3,500 radios are working fantastic.
Okay.
And this is standalone outside of Capitol because it's under 10K.
Yeah,
You need a standalone article from free cash.
sure.
That's what you're asking for.
Wherever it comes from.
Wherever it comes from, you don't care.
Wherever it comes from. I mean, I'm good with wherever it comes from.
No, free cash, you could also take it from mitigation.
Yeah, it can be
Mitigate, okay.
mitigation or free cash, yeah.
So is it 7,000 each or
What's that?
the radios?
Radios are 3,500 each, so that was a 71.
So why
Was it
is it
2
in
for
capital if
seven?
it's under
That's
10?
two, that's two.
Well, actually, it's not
It's
in
not a
Capitol.
capital,
It won't
right.
be.
Yeah, it's not a capital, it's just, I was just.
Oh, all right, I'm confused. Sorry,
wasn't-
sorry.
Just
I wasn't
grab
aware of
that
that
form,
$10,000
right?
ceiling.
You got that form and you
Yeah.
just kept running with it.
Well, I
Makes it
just-
so easy to fill
Wonderful,
out,
so
you
I-
know?
Yeah, no, we're.
Just built out exactly what we need. This is all about the transparency, you know? We know exactly what we need.
We're not gonna make them fill out the other form, okay, this is good enough.
There's
Well, I know
there's
I'm not
3
gonna ask
forms he
him to
has
fill
to
out
fill
another
out now,
form.
Mary.
3 forms?
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense to target this through mitigation
Yep, makes
funds.
sense.
All right, I think that covers it all. Anybody with last questions?
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, see, everything I put you through, make it easy
I
tonight.
know. When you do it 4 times, this is the 5th time, you know.
You got it down pat.
The only thing I screwed up was I double-sided the copies. This is back, 'cause they say paper and ink, but.
Yeah.
We're being green.
Being green.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like our next one is the reserve fund transfer request.
Yes, thank you. So I know June had mentioned this, I think, a couple times over the summer and fall, that there was going to be a need for reserve fund transfer to cover the fire chief recruitment from MRI, and we are at that point. We used the $20,000, which is the total consulting budget for FY23 out of the select board consulting line item. However, $14,220 of that would be the MRI contract, and also the Weston and Sampson licensed site professional services relative to soil importation at Maplewood Farm come out of that budget as well. So when we got the second bill from MRI, we were short $605 because the Weston and Sampson invoices run about $1,600 a month. So projecting that out with the $605 owed to MRI for the recruitment, as well as the monthly Weston and Sampson bills, we're looking at an ask of $11,800 to hopefully get us through the rest of the year.
And this all falls within select board consulting expense.
It does, yes.
Can you talk about the this whole Weston and Sampson, the Maplewood Farms, and what our obligation is here?
Sure. There's no requirement for the town to check what their licensed site professional does, but at some point the town made a decision to do so. I don't have the history on that, but basically what happens is they are importing soil into the town, so they have a licensed site professional that does an analysis on that soil under the DEP similar soils policy and says, yes, this soil meets the requirements as a similar soil and can be imported. And then our LSP checks their LSP's report to make sure that it's accurate and not you know, anything, no information is inaccurate, if you will. And that is something that at some point the town made a decision to do. It's not a requirement. So that would have to be a change that the select board would need to make.
Are they still, I mean, how periodically are they bringing in soil there? I
How longer are
know,
they
All
gonna
the
be
time.
bringing it
About
in?
once a month.
really?
And they can do that indefinitely.
And what are they doing that they need
Really,
it
what
for
is
once
the
a
need? How
month?
much need is there for more soil?
Mary, you're giving me such a look.
It's not,
I
it's
know.
not you. It's not
I
you.
know,
The
it's
message is
the,
not
it's the
to you.
situation, fair enough, I know, and I've looked into it, I've looked into the agreement, that was made, and, this is really an ongoing thing that can go on in perpetuity.
We have no idea what, I mean, do we have a general idea what they're trying to do? I mean, still raising up something high, or like they have that much runoff, or?
They're just trying to irritate us.
Well, I mean, bringing in the soil, they don't actually have to tell us specifically what they're doing with it. If they start building things like structures, then obviously they have to pull permits, but
And how much
Yeah.
soil are they bringing in? Once, is this, you said this is once a month or once a year?
once a month,
And do we know how much they bring in once a month?
I can get that information for you.
Just curious, because it's amazing to me that it's worth it to them to keep bringing this in, and what is their?
Well, because they're paying for that,
Sure.
and, you know, and the licensed site professional to
Right.
do the analysis.
Remind me, what was the overall purpose of putting soil in this location?
Was it to build, I mean, it had to be to build up to make the rink, was it to make the exercise rink out there? I mean, or what the exercise?
That's vaguely in my memory, but
Something with-
then it would seem to me at some point the rink is done. I'm
That's
not
what I'm
sure.
wondering, is like how.
Well, that's
how
what
much
I
more-
thought, something was done and they are doing a new project, but not,
Right.
that's been that ongoing.
Nothing new that we've been notified of. Or that anybody has driven past and seen and was concerned about and alerted us to, which often happens. So, I can tell you that.
Mm.
But are they the only ones doing it? Because when I'm down that way on is it Linden Street? I see the soil trucks more than once a month. So they're not the only ones.
I think they're only testing once a month. They're bringing it in regularly.
We only get it
Oh, it's
once.
tested
Right,
once a
right.
month.
We get a report with testing once a month, and
Okay.
then.
Oh, so they're not necessarily
It
bringing it
doesn't
in
mean
once
it's
a
just
month,
one
tested.
day.
Okay.
But
Right.
because I've been I've seen the trucks more than once a month on.
I guess I just misspoke.
Yeah.
They're doing this on
It's
a
quite often.
monthly, potentially weekly.
The inspection is
Basis.
monthly.
The inspection is
Soil
monthly,
truck
but the
is
trucks that go. in.
They,
Yes.
we get a monthly bill from Weston and Sampson that goes through every activity that's occurred during that month period
Okay.
over on the soil, on their site relative to the soil importation.
Okay. Now I guess we can get to the,
Do we have to do that? I'm just wondering why we're like paying, I just,
Well, I think there was an issue initially as to what they were bringing in.
Right. If there are
No,
concerns about what's coming in and you don't necessarily, you want to trust but verify is really what happens. You don't want to take someone else's contractor's word for it. Then towns do this. They hire their own contractor to check the reports. It's not an uncommon thing, but it is not a requirement.
okay, I just was curious.
Soil importation is never an easy issue. It's always contentious anywhere you're going to run into it. And so that's why DEP did develop that similar soils policy, but it is just a policy. So if the town wants to have any say in the matter or any type of level of quote unquote enforcement, hiring your own licensed site professional is really the only way that you can at least have some measure of oversight over the process.
I mean, we have our own, I mean, I thought zoning on this, was it approved by the, because I thought when this thing came up as an article several years ago, the big issue was that there was no other town that they could use existing that had this type of, testing, or not specifically testing, but restrictions on bringing soil in. And one of the big concerns was whether it would get accepted by the Attorney General because it was so unique.
I know of at least 2 communities, I know of 4 communities that have soil importation bylaws. It's not that they ban soil importation, they put restrictions on it.
Right.
Hours that you can do it, roads that you have to use, you know, those types of things. But, I mean, an outright ban on it, I don't
Right.
think that would pass.
Well, ours wasn't a ban, but
Okay.
it was a restrictions on it. I just remember at the time that was, when they were putting it in, they talked about how there wasn't good guidance because we were unique in doing this. So I don't know if the other towns fall, because one of those things, if something new comes in, right, then other towns will look at it and go, I don't know if we led on that one or
Maybe.
what.
It's been contentious, I would say, in probably the past at least 5 to 7 years. It's become a real hot button topic, and if I'm not mistaken, this dates back to 2009, and on the forefront of this
Yeah.
matter. You've had a lot of recent demolition, especially in the Worcester County area and Worcester itself. And it's opened up opportunities for people to get soil and bring it in and fill in bold areas on their property and things of that nature. And it's just something that people are concerned about. I mean, Worcester is in a naturally occurring arsenic belt. People hear the word arsenic, they get concerned. It's, you know, something that people want to make sure your levels aren't going up on. It's not getting into wells. You know, those are all of the sort of things that make people very uncomfortable. So.
Right. Well, I understand when they first started bringing this in a number of years ago, it was Big Dig excess, which was even bigger, you know, even more concern there.
Well, the Vogue School was a big one. That in my former community, that we had a lot of soil importation coming in from when they were doing the building and of the new site, and you know, a couple other things going on in Worcester. They always have so many projects there, so it's became an issue in my former community. They put a bylaw in 2019, I believe. So.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to see when it was. I know
It's
it was,
on my list
for us,
to
it
look
might
at
have been
that.
like 2010 or so.
Okay. I have a draft bylaw from things I think the Earthworks Committee was looking at, as well as a couple other communities that have done this. My goal is to try to work with the Earthworks and Select Board and put something together. Hopefully in the spring, when things kind of settle down a little bit. That's definitely something that's on my radar to work on.
All right.
But it won't solve, unfortunately, this particular matter.
So,
Yeah.
so just so I understand, we have a licensed site professional that's paid by Maplewood, and we have a licensed site professional that's paid by the town of Berlin.
Correct, and they're
Right.
different people.
Different people, which all of that makes sense. And the question for the town of Berlin, which you can carry, Kristen, right?
Absolutely.
Or maybe at some point I could ask this question too, but is, would we consider a surprise spot audit rather than a monthly? Not because it might even actually have more of an effect,
Mhm.
or equal effect or less.
It's a
Budgetary
valid
impact.
question, and I kind of wonder if you could do something like a 4 time a year surprise check, like you said. It could be potentially cost saving. I think it's worth having that conversation with the board and seeing what their thoughts are on it.
Because if we're running,
It
if
is
we're running
expensive.
1,600 a month
Yeah.
and times 12, let's see if I can do that math in my head or something.
Yeah,
It hurts,
19.2.
stop. 19.
It basically typically eats up the whole 20 grand consulting budget.
But,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't know that, yeah, that's been flying around for a while.
Oh, I think so.
I just think we might get a similar impact by
Yeah.
looking at frequency
Mhm.
and then to make it irregular rather than regular.
Yeah, and it's
So
just one of those things that if it's just ongoing and ongoing, it just kind of gets forgotten about. It just kind of, not forgotten, but it gets
well,
accepted norm, whatever, and then it just goes on and on and on and on, and no one, it doesn't get relooked at.
And I don't know if we have a history of red flags coming up in this comparison. If we don't, then I think it's a.
No.
The 3 I've seen did not have any
Yeah.
flags. There was one where one data table didn't get fully updated, like a
Sometimes
clerical
they
error.
question it, but not any.
Not like this is incorrect, this is not okay. They always say, it's fine, we agree with your LSP.
So we're going to look, January 11th, we're set to look at the select board budget, so that might be a good time to be talking
Yeah,
about
that's a
this.
good point.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, I think we ought to obviously pay this because we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
chugging along here,
Right.
and in June, we've got this form tells me that there's 40,000 in the balance in the reserve fund. That's after we do this or before?
No, that's
Before.
before you do
Before we
this.
do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
Sorry,
say is, no,
That's what I'm,
if there needs to be a, if we approve this, assuming we are, I mean, we're gonna bring this down to, around 28,000. And we've got nearly 6 months left in the year to, as an FYI, maybe to departments, in case, I mean, we're not through the, we haven't gotten snow yet, but who knows what kind of big repairs if something comes up.
I mean, what I might recommend, because, Oh, you got that one. Oh, well, before Jude says that, one bit of possible good news maybe is, what I've done before is a replenishment at Maytown meeting, which doesn't fully help you for the next 4 months, but it helps you for the last 2. So if a department can at least carry it in their budget until May, we could approve it at town meeting and do a transfer after that time. And with that, I'll give it to you.
Well, I don't know, do you want?
Or do we want to finish this one before we go on to the next one? Sorry. Be the bearer of more bad news.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions on this one.
I move that we approve this request for transfer from the reserve fund in the amount of $11,800 for the MRI fire chief replacement services and the Weston and Sampson licensed site professional services.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All right, let's do a roll call. Scott, aye.
Stan, aye.
Mary, I.
Julie, I.
All right, passes 5-0.
Do sign, please.
Scott, do you mind if I sign first,
Nope.
since it's given to me first?
And I'll follow Stan
I will
for just,
follow you wherever you
not if you
go.
sing.
It seems like the appropriate time for a musical interlude. I really appreciated that, actually.
You know, I used to
I
say
get
to my wife,
punchy
I don't
after dark.
understand musicals, because who just bursts into song at no provocation?
You apparently.
Now I do, yeah, and it's because of her family. I never used to. But she's got me singing left and right.
I'm singing in the
Exactly,
rain.
singing with Lorraine.
Oh, it's contagious. June, are you next?
Wait a minute, what time is it?
Can you sing?
Yeah.
That is
Hold on.
why.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, June, can you sing
Oh,
your
God, no,
your
absolutely
update?
not. No, I wouldn't do that to anybody.
Thank you.
So I did get a visit this week from Fred in regards to an issue that he has with the fire alarms here in this building. He had pictures, it was pretty cool. But there is one full panel, I don't know anything about fire alarms, but there's one full panel that is all corroded that needs to be replaced. And he's gonna get a couple more estimates, but his first estimate came in at 14,000. So as of right now, he's gonna try to see what he can do in the budget, but this year seems to be the year for repairs. So he just wanted to let us all know that this is possibly coming. But again, he's gonna try to get a couple more quotes, see what he can do. He'd like to stay with is it Neuron? I don't remember who
Yeah.
does this, you think? The company that we deal with on a regular basis with the fire alarms, but he will look and see what he can find. And then see what he can do for the rest of the year as far as covering.
How many panels are there?
I don't know that. I saw 3 pictures. But does that count?
Sure. Doesn't answer my question, but it counts.
Yeah, I don't really know.
So this was just an observation of his, not a specific issue he was
No,
tracking
this
down?
is-
No, it's an issue.
It's
It
an
is
issue.
Okay.
I think
this
they
is not
took I think they
functional.
had to take a bunch of detectors offline.
Yep, it's not a hazard.
This is
I think he said-
1870, right?
No, this is here.
Here.
I thought it was here.
No, this is 1870.
You sure?
Yeah, I think
It's,
it's
no, he
1870.
said here.
Was it here?
Yeah, it's here.
Could be both, right?
Yeah, all right. Then just ignore the rest of this, okay?
I know the
We'll get some more
1870s had
info.
issues too.
Yeah, no, that one I think is okay, but this one was definitely here in this building, because he said that there was a couple of issues, but it's still covered right now, but it needs to be replaced very, very soon.
Yeah.
It's not something that he can just say, "I will wait till town meeting" or something like that.
June, would this be related to roof leaks or something like that?
I don't
It's a
think
pu-
so,
I mean, there's moisture, I think, there's moisture coming from somewhere.
but it's definitely corroded.
Yeah.
It was corroded.
Yeah, there's moisture coming from somewhere.
They don't corrode otherwise, do they?
That's what I was thinking too, but I don't know anything about that.
The,
Yeah, you would
the
think.
leak that.
Is that with the
looks very
ceiling? I was gonna
dramatic.
ask, is that part of the whole problem? Is this tile in the ceiling that's in the hall?
So what happened when we had like the recent leak? They found two, Fred said, pencil eraser size holes and a seam that was leaking a little. So both have been patched for now. Believe it or not, that small amount can let that much water in and
Sure.
accumulate when you have the rain events, especially like we've been having. So those were found and repaired, which is good. I am working in my infinite spare time on another IFB for the roof to be replaced. So, you know, try to get that out so we can get that hopefully done in the spring once, you know, the weather clears. We have money allocated for it, some of it. Of course, that's gone up astronomically like everything else. So, yeah.
Well,
Should we, I'm just asking, I know that 14,000 was just a letting us know issue, but should we somehow vote to allow that money so when he gets the next 3 quotes or that, so if it's gotta be repaired ASAP?
Yeah, he has the money currently in.
Oh, all right. I
the
didn't,
municipal building budget, but it
He'll be
wasn't
short.
budgeted for.
Later.
So he'll see what he can do because that's what we do.
Just like I'm-
What he can do for the rest of the year, but he just wanted to let us know that, again, this is another.
well, I was just saying, if it needed the money like emergently, should we
Yeah.
somehow make that available? That's all I was asking.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying there.
But you're all set for the time being?
For the time being,
Okay.
yes, but he just wanted to let you know that he probably will be here at some point, because I think this is like the second or third thing that he's.
Yeah.
Unanticipated.
And X half, if it was 14, X like half the money next left.
And that's what
Right.
I
In the
was,
reserve.
yeah, unfortunately, so I don't know if we want to just put it out there that we have to be really careful right now.
Yes.
Town meeting's in March, not May, right?
Well, the weatherman at my house said we're gonna get an inch of rain in the next 24 hours, so.
Mm.
And then it's gonna be
I said,
ice,
just
right?
shut that off. Just look out, if you need an
I
umbrella,
think I
take
would
it on the
rather
way
have
out the
rain
door.
more than ice, so.
I got like an alert this morning. I asked what Alexa what the weather was. She says, "What? And this is such and such." And by the way, there's this alert for tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't want to know about tomorrow. Stop telling me. Bad news.
So we've been keeping the thumb down on costs the last few years, you know,
Starting to
pandemic
catch up
related
with
and
it,
so
right.
on, and so there's no surprise that some of this is
Right.
accumulated and it's becoming urgent, and,
Yeah.
and, you know, I don't know, I think the taxpayers in the community, they just need to understand
Yeah.
that this is,
It's
You
not
can't-
like we're
you can't
going on a
defer.
spending spree
No,
or
no,
anything
no.
of that nature. And we are still
No.
cost controlling everything as much as we possibly
And I have
can.
to say, after finally getting the books all closed and everything, it looked like most people really did really well with their budgets. They really didn't go nuts. There was a lot of money left over that wasn't spent. So, I mean, people are still thinking the COVID way of making sure that we've got enough money.
It's
And
not bad. It's
So-
not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we turned back 6 figures last year in our budget,
yeah,
because we were down personnel and didn't foolishly spend.
Fiscal
we did
conservativeness
building
makes me
here, did-
happy.
Trump
It's just like it's my own checkbook.
Of course,
no,
it
fiscal
also helped a
conservative.
little that we just couldn't get anybody to do anything either.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, then
There
you
wasn't
can't
any
even get the
supply.
workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that.
But that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Didn't you mention, this was way back, very early this fiscal year, that also there was concerns about possibly unemployment being
Yes,
something that
and
we could be
is
running?
still there. I can do an update to see where we stand there, because I don't know if any of that was.
I think Dennis put in for another 10 grand in
I
his
think so.
24 budget. I was just looking at it earlier.
Yeah,
My
probably.
connection isn't working. so I
It's still a
can't
little
look at the
early. I
thing.
don't know if we have definite like line items that might have extra money that at the end of the year we can, you know, do some reserve, line item transfers to.
Okay,
But I would say we probably will do a few transfers at the beginning of the year. If we make it that long, yeah. If we make it to May, yeah. We'll,
If we don't move it to March, you mean? It's in there with the bylaw, I'm
no,
sure.
not March, because I'm not gonna be.
Oh, not March, sorry.
You
Sorry.
do it.
You're
You
cruising.
do it. I'm okay with that.
For a person.
No, not that kind.
We'll make it, we'll make it, I'm sure we'll make it.
We'll,
We're
we'll
gonna
make it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we'll
make it.
figure out something. We usually do.
I'm confident with June keeping an eye on everything. We're in a good place. I'm not, no, I said that in a good way, not in like a, hey, now the pressure's on. No, like in a
Thanks.
confident
Thanks,
way.
lady.
Not that way.
We'll talk about this later.
All right, fair enough.
All right, next, I think we have some on what our upcoming agenda and some requests people have, and so I don't know if I heard back, I sent an email, I don't know if I heard back to schools yet, I just told them every Wednesday we're meeting now.
Yeah, I don't think she wrote back yet. So I did receive an email over the holiday break, sort of, from Nancy, is it Koniski?
Mhm.
Koniski?
Koninsky or
Koninsky,
something.
thank you. The new Director of Finance for the schools, that they need to move, or they want to put in a request to move some money from one approved capital item to another. In FY23, the Berlin capital plan was approved for $50,000. I'm sorry, one of the capital items in their plan was the equipment platform renovation for $53,000. Well, like everything else, unfortunately, it just came in $17,000 over budget. They said there's also $18,000 available for the LED sign that did not happen, and they're holding off on that, and they said until at least FY25. So they'd like to use the funds that were allocated for the sign to cover the overage for the platform renovation. But as it is a change in use of funds, they should speak with FinCom, Capital, and ultimately the Select Board.
So regarding the sign, aren't they already having problems with that because of their own, or zoning issues regarding working with the planning board?
They are. So it sounds from her email they're putting it off until at least FY25. So they've abandoned that for the foreseeable future.
But is it something that the planning board's not approving, or I don't know what the whole, I know there was more issues than they thought they were going to have, or they did anticipate.
Was it size? Was it the size
I
of the
think it was
sign? or-
lighting too, because it's a very
Lighting.
bright.
LED, I think, issue was
There was a
something.
number of issues that they couldn't agree on.
Yeah, so there were issues, and I just think that they made the decision to shelf it for right now. So,
Okay.
but they can certainly explain that, I'm sure, to us a little bit further when they
I don't think we're
attend.
meeting till the 12th for capital planning. For some reason, I have that in my head.
Yeah, I think that's, well,
5 o'clock on the 12th, I think it is.
Yes, so she actually wrote back that Thursday, January 12th at 5 works, but she didn't respond to the FinCom email yet. from you,
Yeah,
Scott,
I don't know
so-
because we were on the same thread
Oh,
that
maybe she missed it?
missed mine, and so first thing I see a reply back is that I
Yes,
asked her
that would
what
be
date. I
great.
see a yes, that would be great. We're like, well,
Anna-
A, B, C,
yeah.
or D.
Oh, that's one of those emails.
Yeah.
So Anna actually jumped on to the email and said, Capitals meeting Thursday at January 12th, would that work? So,
Yeah, so they're definitely going to be there for the capital planning.
Okay.
so I think if you want to write back and see if she's able to attend the next FinCom meeting, which is,
Yeah, the
was that
11th.
next Wednesday, the
Yes.
11th?
Yeah.
Oh, she can have back-to-back nights.
There you
Yes.
go.
We'll get her an office down the hall. Oh,
Is this Nancy?
it's quite the look.
Yeah.
Mary, you give the best looks.
Maybe.
Well,
Not
I,
you, Mary.
I don't
Mary,
know.
oh yeah, Mary does.
You just sing very
Oh,
well.
thank you. Can I say? Yeah,
Go on the road.
it's a curse.
It'll get better.
Gift and a
It'll
curse.
get better.
You can go
Now that
on
we're
We
on
could.
that.
I can do the eyebrows.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
It's a traveling roadshow.
Yep, a whole act, we'll put a whole act
Who's
together.
doing the soft show?
So,
You,
That's you.
you just volunteered.
Yep, so whoever speaks.
That's
yeah.
right.
so Kristen, if you are going to have, are you going to give her a time so that
Did you want me to write back to
So
her?
I'll email
you're
back
in,
to her
okay, so.
and tell
I didn't
her.
want to overstep. you know, if you guys would like to communicate that, that's fine, or however you wanna do it.
Are you actually gonna have the select board come to do their budget, or is it just gonna be you presenting your budget?
I was planning on it being yours truly, but if you, do the select board
'Cause I-
normally come?
Well, they often have one that comes along, moral support, don't they?
Maybe Peg will come.
They often do.
The,
Are you my moral
I was
support?
just thinking-
there she is.
January 11th is the select board budget, so I just didn't know if you were gonna have the select board
Oh.
available, because if they were gonna come here, we'd like to
Oh, we
discuss
could
at the
do
same time.
both, we could do a joint meeting.
Well, I was thinking that, too
Here we
bad
go, killing
FinCom
birds with
couldn't,
stones again.
not FinCom, capital planning, if there would be members that could listen to both that night. I'm here, but I don't know if, you know, I feel bad that they're gonna have to come to a,
3 times.
yeah, 3 times to a meeting. I mean, that's kind of a lot of,
I'm just trying.
but
to
I don't know,
think.
I think we're doing it
Or-
at 5 o'clock on the 12th, because it was the only time that they all could get together.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, another idea, what, I was just gonna say,
Liaison.
what if we did this at the select board meeting, perhaps on the 9th, if she was available, and the liaisons from FinCom and Capital came and brought the information back to their respective committees for a vote at their next meeting?
Yeah, we could do that, or
Yeah.
anybody want to just email questions that we could bring up
Mhm.
during that.
It's virtual, right?
It is.
Hate
To see
virtual.
my lovely face on the computer, I'm sorry.
Well, it's not so bad for them if it's virtual, though, then they're not really coming
That's
around
true.
for, it does
Well,
make it
I-
easier for
you
them,
know,
but.
I'm game for, however you guys wanna plan it out, it's fine,
I just feel bad that they're gonna have to attend 3
Yeah.
different meetings.
Let me just look at what the agenda's like for Monday night. Let's see. You know, I'm talking to Scott in the morning about setting the agenda. Let me speak to him about it, see what he thinks, and then I can send out an email.
Mhm.
I'm not home the 9th, that's my only concern.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I'm sure one of the other people on the
Capital planning?
capital planning could come. I mean, I'm the liaison, but I have a, I'm gonna be in
Oh, thank you.
Boston, I just don't know if I'll be home
But
in
it's
time.
not complete, we have another copy.
Well,
What do you have?
Well, I
don't
thought there
know
was,
what your
this was left in our
preference is.
mailbox from the schools last week, and there was, looked like there was only 4 copies. Do you have,
what do you have
can you double check to see if you,
I have
there should, looks like there's 3 things should be in each one. BMS, Tohoto, and then enrollment history.
Yep.
They were with the, they were paper
Yeah.
clipped together in a way.
What do you
So
look
you just
for?
have those 3? I want to see, you have 3?
Yeah.
And do you have 3?
I have 3,
Okay, so it looks like we'll just have to get another copy for you for the.
So we're short a copy.
Tohoto, yeah, we're
Of the
partial of a copy. We don't, we need
Alright.
Tohoto
Okay.
and enrollment history.
Right.
Make a, is that something we're able to use the scanner here before we leave?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
There's no code, well, I shouldn't say that, but there's a big code that you need to have, and I will give it to you.
Okay. Give it in front of the, and.
They will not give it on a
video
web.
here, so
Yeah.
everybody come in and do the copying. All
There are
right.
cameras.
So, of course, from last week, since we didn't actually have the paper copies, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to really look at the preliminary budget from the schools, which was, of course, a shocker. So, we get another copy here. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss on it?
Well, I'm not sure where they're coming up with this 53% increase, general budget 53% increase.
Well, what the 53% increase meant, they were saying, if you take the increase, which was a 12% increase of 481,000.
Yeah, oh,
53%
of
is
that.
specific to general
Got
budget
it.
items, while
Got it.
sped
Yeah.
is 47% of the increase.
Understood. Okay.
What I thought was interesting about the discussion that we had was the level service budget that was the 12% increase, and then there was the above level service, but definitely they needed budget of 20%. And both of those numbers scare me. And I understand that they were very, very open to answering any questions that we have and furthering the conversation, and I hope that I know we will have the opportunity to do so. I'm just looking at other significant increases in the budget at this point. Worcester Regional went up significantly. We have to increase the legal budget based on what our expenditures were this year and potentially ongoing things into the future. There's been a number of relatively significant expense increases on our side, and that type of increase, whether it's 12 or 20%, basically eats up most of what we have to reallocate or allocate rather within our budget for increased costs. So I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, if put a number on it, each of the last 2 fiscal years, the combined increase from Tohoto and BMS, they were almost identical, like $1,500 difference. They were just over $300,000 combined increase. And here you're looking at saying a level service budget just of BMS would be an increase of $481,000. I mean, that completely blows away. And that's not even talking about with Tohoto, which overall has a 13%. We don't have a breakdown here of what our share is, but you can already see that and they're already the biggest share of the budget.
Correct.
As it is, and not even knowing what Assabet is going to hit us with.
Right. So I've asked them as soon as they have information as it gets updated, no matter how preliminary it is, to please forward it along, and Nancy has been great and forthcoming with information and responding as they have it. So as soon as I get anything else, I will send it along your way as well. And we'll just have to keep going and see what we can do. But I mean, I just, it's very concerning, is all, And I mean, it's not that we don't want to obviously support or fulfill the needs that they have. It's important to make sure that schools are adequately funded, and I certainly understand that. But we also have to make sure our department budgets are adequately funded as well. So there has to be a balance.
Yes.
I have a question, because I always have trouble following how public schools work. When they were talking last week, there was this comment that they were losing students to Assabet. But from our town perspective, I thought we pay for students no matter whether they go to Tohoto or to Assabet. So does that really, I was having trouble following how that impacts the budget.
Its impact, this is the argument that they made, and I'm not speaking for or against this, but what they said was because they're losing students to places like Assabet that have more technology and additional class opportunities, they need to add some of that technology and class opportunity to match in order to retain and to be competitive. And they also mentioned loss to private schools
Yeah, I don't
as
think
well
it was
as part of
necessarily
the issue.
Assabet.
Okay,
Well, they said it was mostly Assabet.
Yeah,
I
the
think
way
the way they
did.
said it, I went, I think they're referring more to private school, but they did say Assabet, so that
And I
threw
was
me a
very
little bit
confused
too.
because I couldn't picture how that.
Well, Assabet
Yeah, because
hit
they're like
them.
apples and oranges in a way. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not really in direct competition with one another. They each provide something different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they were hit hard with, Assabet last year because they changed the some of the criteria to get in, and a large number of Berlin students, and actually all the member towns, increased their enrollment going to Assabet, which is why we saw our big jump in there. And of course, it's very noticeable on their numbers too. And to make it even more complicated is because the member towns, they reduced that, the criteria, one more member towns are saying their students, which means there's less out-of-district students coming in, which means they're getting less out-of-district tuition, which they were using to offset costs.
Correct.
So not only did our costs go up because of sending more students there, and we had a sizable percentage increase, we also got double hit on the budget because they were putting in less money to offset costs.
Correct.
And then you also have the unique situation of Tohoto, where Boylston is not a member community for Assabet. So you have two students that are sitting there, and one knows he's going to get in, and almost nobody can get in, or very few can get in from Boylston now.
Right.
And that's true of other out-of-district schools. So I know that's where, especially that just happened. And that's something that I'm sure that, is part of it is not really going over that step of it, and hopefully it's not going to continue to be that big of a step for us or all the other towns. But I'm sure that is also something that they're worried about continuously increasing. My guess is we probably got over that one step, and it's not going to. It'll hopefully stabilize going forward. But I mean, it's definitely a concern for them because especially kids from Berlin, if they see that as a much better opportunity, it's like right now you will get in as long as you meet their criteria because they're still taking out district students still. Right. Of course, like I said, you sit next to another student that's going, well, I'm going to get in, and you are on a lottery that might have a good chance not getting into Assabet.
So Boylston isn't in a.
No, they're not one of the
Boylston's
7
not
schools
a charter,
for Assabet.
one of the charter members.
But
of
they're
the
not in
town.
any. They're not in any other systems. So.
No.
Okay.
Not for a technology school.
Okay.
Well, they also have some unique special education costs as well, which they obviously can't speak about, with HIPAA or what have you. But they're depending on who you have coming in, student population-wise, and it's mandated what they have to provide in terms of services depending on what that particular student's IEP requires. And it sounded like from what they said, they've got some massive increases in that regard as well.
Well, they were very open. They said they
Yeah.
had 2 students that a combination of $750,000 for just 2 students out of district.
So, right. Well, they didn't go into details about why.
Yeah, no, but they just said,
Yeah.
they did mention there were 2 students that were, that was a huge impact on the budget.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of money.
And that's
for
a state mandate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of our favorite.
Unfunded mandate.
Thank you.
What did you
That's
say?
almost why the special
Unfunded
education.
mandate.
Well, the special education has to come out of the school. It has to
Well,
come
they
out of the
do
school
get a
budget.
percentage of that back, don't they, in the breaker money? I just don't know how that works
Well-
or how that.
But you don't
how
know
that-
until.
You don't get it back until the following year.
Right.
And yes, and they have to pay a certain
I don't
a
understand
set
that
amount
as well
up
as I
front,
should,
or-
I don't think.
And there's like an economies of scale break-even thing where if you have, multiple students that can be served, otherwise you're having to hire different teachers for different things. So that's where I think it gets challenging as well.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, this is going to be a lot to digest here. I mean,
It is. Keeps me up at night.
Do you know how other areas or other towns are handling this right now? Because I know we're not the only town getting hit with the education jump.
I have to say I don't. My experience is an in-house school department as opposed to a regional school district.
Mhm.
It's a little bit different, so we would give our school department a number and say, you have to hit this number. And they would always have their own number that was different, and we would, go back and forth, but in the end, there was a set number. It's challenging when you have something regional where they can really say, okay, well, this is our need, and it's you're backing into it a little bit differently. the argument, as we heard that they made, is that they've been making what are small increases in the past couple of years to them, and this is kind of the rip the Band-Aid off year and really go for all those things they hadn't been asking for. So I, can certainly keep an eye out and do a little bit of research and see, but it's, with a regional school district, it's a little more challenging to have that level of control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe
Well, I
those.
can tell you Boylston's always in a harder place than we are, so that's going to be a bigger challenge for them, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll see what maybe the state will provide some more now that what question 1 or article 1, whatever it was, I forget the term is was passed, and see if they'll dedicate more to the education
right.
funding.
That would be great. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see too with a change in the governor. I know that Baker was very, very into providing funding for vocational schools. I don't know if that will continue or what the new governor's priorities will be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't think I have anything more to discuss. Anything you want to bring up? June?
Because you guys didn't submit a budget, are you okay with level funding?
Oh, we didn't submit our
That's what you
budget?
got.
Schedule.
Oh, we had that.
Well, I think it's the same.
Or is it $600?
Are you filming?
No, I was gonna say Eric's just feeling better and better. It's nice going.
Yeah.
I started on December 1st and I finished last week.
When
Yesterday?
he breaks into song, we'll know it's
There
very
you go.
right?
I think we have until March 15th for final budget.
No, those are getting our letter in.
Yeah, we had a,
What is our budget?
well, I'm just gonna,
$600.
FinCom expenses are, Eric, $175.
Should you wish to have that level of
Now,
funding?
With,
but as Mary found out,
fiscal-
though, if anybody wants to actually take a class, though, you need some money in there. You will
That's
want to
right.
be reimbursed.
And I would recommend that,
But
Yeah,
we
and
A
then-
lot of them are
Committee
online
take some
now
training.
too, but
But we had kind of deferred it because that was just like when COVID hit and it
Yeah, I
wasn't
know.
clear what you could do,
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
well, it's sitting there.
Our dues were $163,
Right.
so I don't know what they were the previous years.
Was that dues for which?
This was the, what is it? The,
Association of FinCom members.
or, yes, what the acronym is.
Yeah.
Another,
I think it's so you
Another-
can get your free book.
a TLA or an FLA? Which was it?
Yeah, you can see to find the other amount.
And what is it, 95 for reserve fund? So it starts at,
Yeah.
Yes,
Municipal
95 was the reserve
finance.
fund.
Something,
Yeah, I don't know.
something.
Don't ask me for more just because I've asked for all your money this year.
I was trying to find the request form. Oh, this must be it.
I did put in level.
Yeah.
For us?
I did.
But I think the reserve fund would have been definitely level.
Well, I was going to say after this year, do we want?
Well, I mean, you're hoping that it's more of an anomaly. I mean, even it's not, right now, we've gotten hit not specifically with actual defects type of thing so far. It was legal expenses,
Right.
which were huge, and then, of course, the fire chief consulting expenses.
And we're
Yeah,
making the adjustments to the legal budget for '24 to address that. And knock on wood, hopefully we won't be going through any executive recruitments unless you.
I don't think we're going to experience this 1 year of rubber band effect. I think it's going to be a few years. I mean, I think that there's been stuff that's been put off. I think it's going to come home to roost.
Yeah.
All right.
Entirely possible.
Do we want to, on our own thing, have it increase from 175?
To the 2.5% they're allowing us? Is that what we're saying?
Well, we have 12
Or are we level funding at 175?
We can level fund at 175. I mean, we're close to what the, our dues.
Yeah,
Well, is
why the number
are our
is what it
dues
is.
gonna go up and then
Well,
we're
that's the
gonna have to
question
ask for
about-
a reserve fund transfer? Can we ask for our own reserve fund transfer?
I don't
I don't know, I would take that as a conflict.
Well, then,
Say you have to
yeah, it'd
stay
be a
within your
conflict of
budget.
interest,
That's right.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, you
You're
just
the
can't go
only,
over
only
it.
committee that has to stay within their budget. No money for you. No,
I don't know, then maybe we should go up our 2.5%. She's being that strict with us.
How much are the,
So
Mary,
you
the
could go up
courses
to
that you mentioned?
179.38.
How much are those?
It's.
We'll give you back the 38, we'll just go to the
$179.
179.
$90, $100, something like that.
I think I took one, it was 90. That- I
was
don't know
gonna
why
say,
that's
I was
ringing.
thinking it was like 80 something, but
Yeah,
it had
it-
been, yeah.
And mine.
How much is left in our reserve fund after all of our,
28,500.
after we've done everything tonight that we?
Tonight, and right. and then-
Correct,
And
that
then looking
does-
at a potential another 14.
14, and then
Correct.
unemployment.
It takes half of it.
So potentially by the end of, but when all is said and done, we might have $6,000 in our reserve funds? Is that what I'm hearing about?
No,
No.
because we could have an unemployment too.
Well,
Well, didn't she just include that? And
No,
subtract,
that
I
was only
subtracted
for-
that?
no, that was an additional 10 that
Oh,
Dennis
oh,
put in
oh.
the FY24 budget for.
So when everything is said and done, and these questionables, how much will we have left in our reserve
4,000.
fund?
Oh,
Are we gonna be in the
Probably not.
minus?
probably nothing,
How
but.
much the unemployment's
We're
gonna be, so that's hard to
Yeah.
say.
So we're gonna be
Well,
in the
we're at 28
minus.
now, and they're talking 14 and 10,
Right.
so that's 24, so it's 4,
$4,000,
which
yeah.
gets eaten
Yeah,
up. in
I just
nothing
was
left.
curious.
But it sounds like Fred may be able to limp along
He's
till
gonna
town
try.
meeting.
Well,
He's
and
gonna
hopefully
do his
there's
best,
some
but-
money that doesn't necessarily have to be all of the 14, like, there's,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully there's something still in repairs and whatever
Or
that can.
possibility of, line item
Yeah, right,
transfers at the
shifting
end
stuff
of the year,
around.
hopefully. There's someplace.
But anyway,
All right, well, we can
That
submit some.
Tahoe's looking better and better, Eric.
So look to do 95,000, is that,
I mean,
for the reserve fund? How about, and just do 2.5% on our,
Hey, you
Expenses.
get the big money for this one, Scott.
I need another sheet though, I'm gonna need a copy for it. Is there something we need to actually take a vote on this as a committee, what our expenses are?
Are you
The what we're gonna-
level funding, or you want to increase
We'll just do the 2.5% on the,
the expense?
on the-
the,
On
on
175?
our, yeah, our expense on 175,
Let me
just
do the
make sure.
math for you.
$4.38.
That's what I just.
So you can
yeah,
do
calculated,
180.
$4.
We'll do 180, round it off for
We'll give
you.
you the extra, like,
Okay,
what, 70?
We're gonna go to
60,
180?
something like that.
yeah.
You don't have the appetite for
Just don't
for
tell
200?
Stan.
You don't have the appetite for 200?
We're rounding it up, not down.
179,
That'll be
179,375, exactly.
Exactly, so we'll give you a 180.
Giving us a 70
Don't
cents,
tell
Scott,
Scott.
over the budget.
Round up,
Find
Sound
out.
like drunken sailors.
Full $5, my goodness. You guys can't stay within your 2.5%.
Reserve
No,
fund,
I would advocate we go higher on the reserve fund, but
Yes,
you want to,
yes, because I think we're gonna have more. of these
I do. I mean, and I don't know that that's, I don't know that we're subject to the 2.5 on the reserve fund, because I feel like that's, like a 2% on that's not gonna mean anything.
Well, you
I
can
mean-
make an argument for that based on the track record.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean?
So we're
Well,
gonna
the track
Past
record's
practice, past
give
history,
you
whatever it's
an
called.
oral version of the supplemental request form that has to do with the track record.
This is
For fiscal
okay. So
23.
here's what you can do. Make a reasonable request, we'll put it in, we'll see what we have as everything shakes out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How's that sound?
I like that.
I like that.
Because actually, I think that 95's been there for quite a while now.
Well, I remember 80.
95 in the reserve.
I remember 80, but then I'm old, so,
Yeah, no, I was thinking 82,
Yeah.
so I'm old too.
yeah, we're old together.
Yeah.
yeah,
So, I mean, I would say at least 100, and I'm almost thinking 110, but it just, I mean, we could just keep it the same, and if we fall short, I mean, we could rubber band it the next year and go higher, next year, if we're actually short. Like, I mean, but if we're trying to be prescient about things, or we're looking at the trend this year says we're not going to have enough money, or we're going to be barely at it.
Right.
Now, in the past 3 or 4 years, we haven't come anywhere close to spending all of it. So you
Yeah.
could say that this is an outlier, except that we've
It's
had 3
unexpected.
years of forcing departments to, you know, spend nothing, like do whatever you can to not spend money. And I think what happens is you will, I think there's no fluff in their budget. There's no ability to cover these types of things that come up now because they haven't been increasing and they haven't been.
Every single item is really
Right.
accounted for,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
down to the fuel.
And a lot of the things are fuel costs, they're, you know, supply chain costs.
Well, the flip side, I do like the transparency to be able to come before them and tell them what we need money for, like on the
Oh,
spot.
yeah.
So I do like that aspect of keeping a skeleton budget and then coming
Yeah.
before people and
With
saying.
the
But we have to have
Or
the ability
supplemental, but you have to have the ability to do
to
that.
cover it, to do it. And that's what worries me, is if we stick at the 95, are we gonna have that ability, you know, for the next I feel like for the next couple of years, I don't think this is gonna be an outlier year. I think this is gonna be, what we're seeing is the first year of a couple of years of this. But
All right, well, you're looking at saying 110.
that's what I
Mary?
would propose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with that, because you don't have to spend it, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing that says it's
So,
gonna be spent.
I think it's just
Could
good
always be
planning to
relooked
be
at
able
if
to
it
do
has to
that.
be later on in the
Yeah.
budget process.
Right, and I mean, like you said, there's an argument for it. There's a rationale. There's a, and it's not that we just are looking to have a bunch of money to spend as we see fit. It's that we are seeing this.
So,
Front end.
Stan, so it took us 3 years to get into this place, it'll take us
Yeah,
3 years to get
that's
out of it.
kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable assumption.
No, that'd be just something just over 15%.
And then we have
Now
this,
go to
yeah,
110, hey.
8%, and Social Security will have to be point.
Janet?
Whatever it was, right?
Julie,
So we're
any,
looking at that
comments?
change as well.
Sounds good to me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Go for 110 then?
Yeah.
All right. What do we do?
So is that
Other
an actual motion,
expenses?
or is that a-
You can put it wherever you want, how's that? Don't tell Eric.
I don't think we have motion.
you just have to submit it?
Yeah,
You're supposed to tell him to leave.
I was gonna say, but this is clearly why
he's
he's going
leave
around.
on your
See, he wants to
secrets.
know how the sausage is
Mhm,
really.
that's
made.
exactly
It's
right.
not what they tell him in town.
Smart-
hall. He
smart
wants to
guy.
know.
Eric's still in the learning curve, so we've got to teach him right.
Well, it does say subtotal expenses to be voted on, so I guess that means we should vote on this.
But individual department heads just submit their stuff, like it's
I was
not,
trying to see if they had.
not like the
how much
police
they
department
cost.
votes on their
I can't remember the
budget.
name of- Mary, what's the name of
So,
the
I don't know.
company
Okay.
or the courses that you take? What
Board
was the,
and an open
where did you
meeting.
get
Oh,
them?
it's the
It's never
Division of
heard.
Local Services,
Fine, we can, I
DSL.
mean, I'll make a motion that
DSL,
we,
yeah.
So DSL, I've sent you email.
No, I was
with the
just
link.
trying, yeah, no, I have it. I was
Is there
just
a
trying to
board
look online to
meeting?
see if they had,
Never hurts to take
um,
both.
just cost of the courses. I was just,
Right, I mean,
while we were
no,
talking,
yeah.
I was just trying to
No.
find.
Yeah, and I don't think they charge you if you do them online, but I think it's nice to be in the room with
Well, that's
people.
what I saw, that they were free for online. That's what I was
Yeah.
looking at.
They're
so.
actually
so the-
doing a lot of them now so that more people have the time to, they can do it on their own time,
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
But it's good to be in the room and talk to people, you know, and that,
Yeah.
and they did it at Holy Cross, it was in June, it was one day. And I think that program is repeats, and that's your.
Yeah, pretty
your-
much.
Basically your 101, here's what
Yeah.
your municipal finance looks like.
Okay.
well, Scott, I just think, so I mean, I would make a motion that directs the chairman to submit a budget of 110 for the reserve fund.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Seconded. Did you catch that, Julie?
Further discussion?
Just in case it's a
All right, I guess roll call. Scott, aye.
stand, I.
Mary, aye.
Jan, I,
Julie, I.
Okay, passes 5-0. So am I the appointing authority approval or the department head name?
The other department head name.
Just sign it.
Just sign it.
Department head, yeah.
Signed it already. Enough.
June's just really happy to get your form.
Did you
so-
bring him the form to do this?
No, it's been in the box.
It's been in the box.
But I only have one form though. I don't have one
Oh,
for
you didn't
the.
have two attached in there?
That's what I've been looking for. I thought there might be.
Yep.
Oh, look at us, look at how we're
You checking them out?
No, I'm just looking at, look at the increase.
Yeah, that's a ginormous jump. It's
We'll
humongous.
see what we can do.
We did track that motion.
Yeah, I don't have any other forms. Wait a second.
Well, to do a separate one for the expense.
Let's see here.
175.
I do have another one, but it just says copy on it, so.
Just need to make that motion if you'd like to, feel free.
I marked it down. I mean,
So we'll do 180 for the,
Yeah,
okay. We'll,
June left, so she doesn't
exactly.
get to
That's how she
badger
feels
us.
about it.
okay, other than that, I think that's,
Oh,
we're
Janet.
up to Janet now.
Bye,
Yeah,
Eric.
you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Chief.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yes.
Speak, motion to adjourn.
My turn to speak.
Okay.
Uh,
5 minutes early.
9:39.
Yeah, 9:39.